Good evening, and happy July 3rd. On the precipice of our great day and our Independence Day, just want to, thank God that we live in this country and America, and what we stand for and what we do for our children. Nothing is better and nothing is more important. Tonight we are going to present our tentative budget for the 24-25 school year, but before I do so, it's been a long road, and those who've been following this road along with us and our journey for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you know where it's taken us. It's taken us to Trenton in protest. It's taken us to bent knee and asking for mercy. It's taken us across the state to many negotiations and pleas and directions. And tonight, and we've avoided that fiscal cliff for the last couple of years, one because of COVID, and some injection of some federal dollars because of COVID relief for those 2 years, and others because we've been as creative as possible to come together as a community when we had to. But for the last 7 years, Toms River Regional Schools has been decimated by the state's funding formula and the S2 legislation that created $137 million cumulative loss for our students, our district, and our taxpayers. All the while, this district has been mandated to tax our communities to the maximum of an allowable 2% cap. We've had to. It was not a choice. Toms River already has cut over 250 jobs, including administrative, teachers, and reduced its programming for students along the way. We have used all of our surplus and reserves and monetized our assets, rented facilities, and even sold trees to make up a shortfall. Even with all those actions, there was no way to make up the $137 million cut with the allowable 2% tax levy increase over a 7-year period. We have worked with our executive county superintendent and business administrator and sought any suggestions that may have to address our crisis. The fallout of all this has pushed the most efficient, the most cost-efficient, the lowest spending district in the state of New Jersey to bankruptcy, as districts that spend far more and tax far less have benefited from major aid increases to their budget, leading to wasteful spending, ridiculous salary increases, and non-essential pet projects. I have been clear and transparent for the last year that because of these decisions by the Department of Education and the state of New Jersey, Toms River is $26.5 million short on its budget to complete the 24-25 school year. Myself, my team, and this board have been working non-stop to communicate, lobby, negotiate, testify, and pursue the shortfall and address these funding issues. Members at the county and the state level of the Department of Education, in fact, who are experts in school finance, have agreed with our number of a negative $26.5 million hole and have said you have a revenue problem, not a spending problem. We have continued to take the high road and work with local and state legislators and the governor's office directly to have a solution to our problem. We did so all the way up until last Friday when the budget was signed and Toms River was left to deal with the financial cliff the state of New Jersey created. Let me say that again. The state of New Jersey knowingly created this problem for our district and our neighbors in Brick, Jackson, Lakewood, Lacey, Plumstead, and Stafford, just to name a few. Why? Why? How do you do that to 15,000 children that deserve the same opportunities as every child in this great state? $26.5 million removed from this budget would eliminate, once again, 368 more jobs, putting class sizes in the hundreds, eliminating all extracurricular and athletic programs from this district. It would also eliminate kindergarten completely. There is no way to even propose such a thing. What they have done is nothing short of legislative child abuse and neglect. I have done my job of presenting a balanced budget tonight. I have. But unfortunately, it does not provide a structural revenue solution, and it only compounds this problem for this district moving forward. Liquidating assets, appraising assets that don't touch kids just to sell them in a one-year loss only makes that number double the following year. Because of the malfeasance of the Department of Education, this year we're $91.5 million under adequacy, which is the amount the state's constitutionally approved formula tells us we should be spending to provide a thorough and efficient education. Being $26.5 million short, that number now increases to $118 million under adequacy. But yet the commissioner now says that number is a benchmark or a suggestion. But I want to talk about our community, and I want to talk about what we should not and cannot do. We should not and cannot do. Because number one, our students come first. Our future children come first. They deserve not only the programs they have in place today, but they deserve the ones we wish we could provide them tomorrow. Number two, community strength, resolve, trust, and commitment. It's what we need. It's what we must have. The easiest thing to do is to panic, point fingers amongst ourselves, and fight. The fight is with the Department of Education in the state of New Jersey and the decision makers that have created these policies that harm our students, our teachers, our staff, and our community. Already, we've heard and seen local politics try to steep in and fracture us and take advantage of political moments. We can't do that. That's no different than Governor Murphy or Commissioner Deemer and the legislators that turned their back on their 15,000 students and 50,000 plus families when they passed a budget that provided over $1 billion this year in extra spending in education and $700 million more in pork or Christmas tree money for politicians' pet projects, while our students and their futures and our opportunities are thrown away like yesterday's garbage. Politics have no place in a school. Not in any school. I want to talk about salaries for a second as we address this. Because last month, our board members that volunteer their time and speak about their convictions objected on some agenda items that caused some personnel issues to not go through. Clearly, those decisions were done because we had no budget. Let me be clear. Nobody on this Board of Education or in my office think that certain members of any administrative team are more essential than the next. No one. Every one of my assistants and our business administrator work their tails off, and students and staff for this community. We are together every day, before work, after work, and after hours, focusing on our purpose, which is our students. And I want this community to know, as we fight for our funding, every one of my team, including myself, will be working under last year's contractual obligations. Our kids come first, and there can't be any distraction. What we need now is Toms River Regional Schools community to do exactly what we always do. come together, join this fight, sign on to this pursuit. This fight goes beyond the borders of Toms River and its regional district. It affects our entire county and all the children and the future of those children in this county. I call on everyone, our elected officials in our district and our county, to stand by us, join us. Because if this county seat fails and falls, we all fall. We are TR. And with that, we have hope, we have promise, and we just have what's right for children. And we will not waver from any of those promises. I'm going to turn this over now for our board attorney for any next steps.
Good evening. My name is William Burns and I am the board attorney. The Board of Education, the superintendent, and the business administrator have asked me to address you to provide an overview regarding the budget and briefly outline the district's next steps. Leading up to the state budget vote on June 28, 2024, the district has been working with members of the state legislature, the Commissioner of Education, the Department of Education, the governor's staff, including his chief of staff, and Governor Phil Murphy himself, in an attempt to secure the minimum funding needed to provide the legally required, thorough, and efficient education to the students of the Toms River Regional School District. Our local legislatures, ones in attendance this evening, have supported our efforts and dedicated themselves to our cause, advocating for our students and criticizing the state budget for neglecting the children of this district. Paul, I want to thank you personally for your impassioned speech on the floor and the fight against the state. We thank our assemblymen and senators and implore them to continue their zealous advocacy on our behalf in Trenton. Our pleas for help, our legislators' speeches, and our attempts at collaboration with the state have failed. The fact that this revenue crisis is the direct result of the state of New Jersey cutting off over $137 million in funding over the last 7 years, the state's 15-year failure to fully fund the school funding formula, and the legislative imposition of a hard cap on the district's annual ability to gradually increase its local levy seems of no consequence to this Department of Education. The Commissioner himself has stated in what can only be described as the ultimate degradation of duty that the people in Toms River, South Toms River, Beechwood, and Pine Beach can determine what kind of schools they want, calling it the ecology of local control, seemingly oblivious to his constitutional duty to provide a thorough and efficient education for all of New Jersey's children, just not those kids that live in certain zip codes. Instead of acting responsibly, the Commissioner is blaming the current crisis on this community, this board, this administration, demanding the superintendent and business administrator to certify an unconstitutional budget and encouraging the district to burden the residents of this district by placing questions about district's programs that impact kids, whether educational, co-curricular, extracurricular, or athletic, on the ballot regardless of the constitutional and statutory requirements. To be clear, the school funding formula that was initially held to be constitutional by the New Jersey Supreme Court has been modified substantially, blocking a local district's ability to reduce the impact of state aid cuts. Then the state adopted S2, further reducing funding for districts like Toms River, proclaimed to be overfunded, while receiving $137 million in cuts. Simply put, the state has taken away hundreds of millions of dollars and simultaneously barred districts from raising the local levy over the legislative imposed cap to make up for the massive cuts. To address the revenue shortfall caused and created by the state, I'm going to say that again. To address the revenue shortfall caused and created by the state, not this board, not this district, not this administration. This board and the Toms River Regional Schools board members and administrators alike have driven across the state and pleaded with anyone who would listen. Akin to Dickens' Oliver Twist, with arms extended, please sir, may I have some more? The pleas for our students have been met with accusations, empty promises, and direct threats. A state takeover of our school has been threatened. The forced closure of district schools has been threatened. The slashing of jobs that have a direct impact on our classrooms and our kids have been threatened. And when Superintendent Michael Sidda and Business Administrator William Doring pushed back saying we cannot and we will not cut programs or jobs that impact kids, and reminded the state that they were legally required to certify only a budget that provides for a thorough and efficient education, the revocation and forfeiture of Mike and Bill's certificates were threatened. Today, it is altogether fitting that today is July 3rd, because the days of this district begging on bent knee before a tyrannical state government ends here and now. We can no longer sit patiently waiting for the state and the department to do the right thing while the district falters. The state of New Jersey and the Department of Education have neglected their constitutional duty to ensure that all New Jersey public school students, including our students, receive a thorough and efficient education. This Board of Education has appointed the Bush Law Group, which includes Hope Blackburn, who stands next to me, in consultation with David B. Rubin, to commence litigation against the state, including the Department of Education and the Commission. Simply put, the Bush firm has been tasked to exhaust all legal remedies for the district to receive the funding and resources necessary to provide Toms River Regional students with the constitutionally required thorough and efficient education. To be clear, we are fighting tyranny, oppression, and persecution, not at the hands of a foreign entity, but by our own state government. We are fighting for the right of our students to receive the education they are legally entitled to. And more importantly, we are fighting for our students to receive the education they deserve. The legal battle for Toms River schools will not be easy and will not be quick. There is much work to be done, and it is for us, all of us, parents, students, residents, teachers, administrators, staff, alumni, and friends, to be dedicated to this unfinished work. We cannot be consumed by our differences anymore. We must and we will be united in our common interest, the students of Toms River Regional Schools. The Toms River Regional School District calls on our teachers, our staff, our parents, our students, our alumni and residents, and the entire Toms River community, Toms River Regional community, to join the fight for our schools and our kids. Call and write the state senators and assemblymen. Call and write the governor and the commissioner of education. Talk to your neighbors, your friends, and your family. Let everyone know, including the state, that this community stands together and speaks in one united voice, that the Toms River Regional School District will not go quietly into the night, and we will not close our schools without a fight. We will continue to operate, we will continue to educate, and we will open our schools in September. And we are going to do what this district has always done: love and support our children and our community. And when we win the day for our students and our community, to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln, the world will little note nor long remember what I said here, but they will never forget what the Toms River Regional Schools community did here. Thank you.
I need a motion for the approval of the submission of the comments from guests. I skipped a step, I apologize. Do we have any comments from guests or press? Go ahead. This is as per board policy number 0167, public participation.
Members of the board, thank you for letting me speak today. First of all, I just want to commend you.
I'm sorry, Assemblyman, you just, for the record, say your name.
Sorry, everybody. Assemblyman Paul Knitra. I represent the 10th Legislative District. It's been a while since I stood in front of a board like this. But first and foremost, I want to commend you on the strength that you just showed. I think that's important. I think that's important for everybody sitting here and for the media that's going to obviously see what transpired at this meeting today. And I think the most important thing that everybody here needs to know is, why are we here right now? Are we here because Toms River runs an efficient school system, that they have low class sizes and that they have excellent test scores, and that they're able to operate such a large district at a cost per pupil that's far, far under what the state average is and most states are? Or are we here because of politics? And I can tell you, it was referenced earlier, when I was on the state floor the other day and they were passing this atrocity of a budget, the majority leader of the assembly, I think, made a Freudian slip. He got up to talk about the budget, and he said, what we have here is a budget that is fully reflective of the majority party's priorities. And that is exactly, I stood up afterwards and I said, that's exactly what this budget is. It is reflective of the majority party in Trenton's priorities. Now, they're supposed to act on behalf of the entire state. And what we saw is a $56 billion budget coming out of Trenton that had increases virtually across the entire board. And to put this in perspective, schools like Newark just had an extra $100 million added to their budget. So they now are at about $1 billion. And what does that mean? What does that mean right here while we're sitting here and the Toms River Board that runs such an excellent school system and provides value education to the taxpayers of Toms River at such a quality price has to talk about cutting jobs, has to talk about cutting programs? Well, what does that mean for other areas like Newark? I'll ask you, Superintendent Sitta. We've had a great relationship together. I've seen you've been fighting for everything. You haven't happened to hold a $50,000 party for your staff and everybody up here recently, have you?
No, but I might have to tomorrow just to deal with tonight.
I can tell you, I guess you didn't get your invitation, because in Newark, they just threw a $50,000 party for everybody to have a great time. That's how much money they're actually swimming in. And the test scores aren't improving either, right? It's an absolute travesty what is going on here. And they want this to be easy. The state wants this to be easy. They want it to be slid under the map. If they could get you guys to just sell some assets and they don't have to deal with any of the repercussions of this, that's exactly what they want. But they have to see that any jobs that are lost here are on their hands. And again, they're picking winners and losers in this state. What they're looking at, and they're saying in places like, let's take Jersey City, for instance. Anybody who's been up there in Jersey City sees how shiny and brand new it is. Big buildings everywhere. The average person in Jersey City is making about 3 times what the average person in Toms River is, but guess what? They're swimming in money too. And why are they doing that? Because they're being cutesy with things. All the pilot projects, all the redevelopment in a lot of these city areas that are making everything shiny and new, and that have yuppies moving in left and right to buy $2 million, $3 million, $4 million condos. Well, that doesn't get counted in the funding formula. And they have a lot of discretion when it comes to when you're reevaluating your property values as well. Everywhere that we find something in the formula where there's an opportunity for them to mess around with things without the public knowing, they take that liberty for themselves. But the fact that you're showing this strength today, I think, is a sign that you guys have had enough. I know you all have come from different backgrounds and have different perspectives on how you want to tackle this issue, but I want to personally commend you for your strength, for how you're tackling this issue. I want to tell you that myself, my colleague Greg McGuckin, and Senator Jim Holzapfel are behind you 1,000%. Whatever you need, we're here for you. You need to be loud. You need to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's going on here, and you need to not let them just slip it under the rug, and I commend you to that. So thank you so much for having me.
Good
Please.
evening.
Hold on, please sign in.
Sure. My name is Chris Raymond. I live at 111 Flack Street, Toms River, New Jersey. And Mr. Sitta started off by saying, thank God for our independence. Well, I will say thank God for you, Mr. Sitta, for this board, Mr. Doring, you don't get enough credit. Mrs. Saxon, I know you don't get enough credit. I think it's great that our police chief is here tonight. We need more leaders like that. Mr. Canatra definitely represents the Toms River schools as well as other districts, and I think he said it best about the majority and their agenda. I just wanted to thank you all for what you're doing, and don't stop. You know, our kids need you, and even if you don't have kids, without our schools, this community will fail. So thank you, and thank you about the quote there, Mr. Ford. That was actually very good. Thank you. Have a good night, and happy 4th.
Thank you. And yeah,
Mr. Sitta, Mr. Thomas is one of the best administrators in this district. I just want you to know that.
thank you.
Good evening, Lawrence Cuneo, Mayor of Pine Beach. I feel bad for you guys. This is really, the way that the government, the way that the state has put this together really does not help us at all. One of the things that I've been dealing with in town and people have talked to me about is they're worried. They're really worried about what's going on. The word you keep throwing out, thorough and efficient, and I know that's the buzzword, that if this budget is not giving us a thorough and efficient education, it cannot be passed. All right, I don't care what happens, it cannot be passed. We're also worried about our tax levy. We put out estimated tax bills and there was almost a riot in town. Now you're going to come in, if you increase it to the 9%, 9.9%, that's a huge impact for working people. To the point where I've had calls saying, well, I know that we tried to join, have Seaside join us. Why can't we join someone else? And I was like, you really don't want me to stay as mayor if you're asking me to do that. For Pine Beach to leave the Toms River Regional School District and go somewhere else. But that's what's going on. That's what's happening in the real world. And it's scary. It's scary that we're in this situation. So I feel sorry for you guys, for you men and women up here. I know it's not an easy job. Some of you know it's not easy to be here, but you have to look at what's right for the people, for our students, our staff, and your taxpayers. We're starting to crush them. And it's not, you guys don't get the calls. I get the calls. And I say, talk to your school board. And they go, no, we're talking to you. So I thank you and good luck.
Mr. Cuneo, thank you very much for what you're saying. I do have to say, though, I know listening to our administration and so forth, kids are going to come first. So please let the people in Pine Beach know your children will be educated and will be taken care of.
They understand that, but they're also looking at cutting programs, whether you're going to cut AP programs, you're going to cut sports.
No, they are not cutting anything at this point.
But when's it going to hit? This year it's a 9% increase. Next year, will the state allow it again? Because we're still underfunded according to the state.
This is why there's going to be a pursuit.
And we've been down this road before. And we haven't gotten the results we want. So that's what I'm saying. It's scary.
It is.
It's really scary that you can bring in the law firms and do this and we spend lots of money for it and we haven't gotten the results that we want for it.
Mr. Mayor, we understand your plight and we have the same.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else like to come up? Okay. Seeing none, I need a motion for the approval of the submission of the 2024 tentative budget to the county office.
Motion Nardini?
Second, Kidney.
Roll call.
Capone,
No.
how? I'm not going to speak long, but we came out here today, and I'm sorry, I'm a crier. So been doing this I'm on my 6th year up here, and every single year in June and July, when everyone gets excited to get out of school, I watch this administration they don't really get a break. They don't get to spend time with their families and just relax. And I want to say thank you so much to the administration, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Okada, Mr. Mayo's not here, um, Mr. Doring, Wendy, everyone in the administration who is voting to give pay freeze. I know people can look at salaries and say, that's a lot of money, but I don't know if these people sleep, and I know when they're awake that they're working. I know that when a child gets hurt at a sports event on a Saturday night, someone's going to the hospital. I know that when someone in Trenton says, hey, why don't you try to come to my office tomorrow at 7 o'clock after work and meet with me? I know they're all jumping in their cars and they're going there. It breaks. I'm voting no on this budget because I don't think it's good for kids. I don't think it's good for the community. And I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of politicians, getting tired of them using our kids. The fact that they're saying the majority of the parties, their priorities were met. It breaks my heart because we don't know what party these students, there's 15,000 kids. We don't know what parties that they're in. And I hope they're all independent and they can just think for themselves when they're older, honestly. But I'm so tired of the politics. And I just hope that, this gets out and people in Trenton start realizing like, you're just affecting kids. These are kids that just want to go to school and they want to join the band and they want to be in a show and they want to be on a sports team, whether they're good or not. They want to play and they want to see teachers and the teachers know them and they don't have 100 kids in their classroom and they're fighting for attention. So I'm voting no, but I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work with this. I know that you have not slept. I know that you also have, on top of all this nonsense, like you have a whole district to run on top of all of this. So I just want to thank our administration. There's a lot of them in the audience too, for all your work. And I just want you to know that we are so heartbroken for our community and our students. And I'm hoping that someone will listen and make it right for them.
Kidney,
No.
Lamb,
First, I would just like to thank everybody that's here. It really speaks volumes that it's July 3rd at 6:30 at night, and it's a major holiday in the middle of the summer, and there are 66 people in this room. Because this entire year, we have averaged about 11 people at our board meetings, and usually 7 of them work here. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out. We have our Chief of Police, Mitch Little, Assemblyman Knitra, Councilman Quinzlis, Councilman Lamb, Mayor Cunha. We have a lot of representation out there tonight, which is really nice to see. I hope you'll all come back and bring everyone else with you. Because I remember when I first became a member of this board 4 years ago, and it was during COVID and our schools were closed and our kids were masked and there was standing room only in these meetings. There were people coming to these meetings holding up signs that said, Phil Murphy is a child abuser, and it took 12 people to hold up the one sign. Literally. And now our meetings are not attended. So it means a lot that all of you are here tonight. So thank you first and foremost. That's really what we need moving forward is our community to be involved. Second, I would like to address what Mr. Sitta has already addressed about the personnel agenda and salaries and votes, how some of our administration's contracts were approved and some were not. And that was really just a stipulation of some conflicted board members that were unable to vote on them. And a lot of the board voting no blanketly because we did not have a budget in place. It in no way reflects anyone's workmanship or dedication to this district. We value every one of you guys. You're amazing. And I would like to thank you for taking a pay freeze. And for those of you whose contracts did get through, that you gave your pay raise back is commendable. And that's the kind of leadership that I expect out of Toms River. So thank you for that. Beyond that, this budget is a joke. It's terrible. When S3081 was passed and signed and local boards of education were given the ability to raise taxes to 9.9%, I remember everybody saying that we would never do that. Then we said we would do that if the state gave us half the money, and then the state gave us nothing. And here we are with this budget that has a 9.9% increase in it. And I'm pretty sure everybody up here is probably voting no to this. And the problem with this is that when this budget leaves here, it's going to go to the county. And they may override what we do here, and your taxes may go up anyway. And when they do, it still won't be enough money. Because at $91.5 million under adequacy, which apparently now has become a suggestion, which is totally ridiculous, you know, we're looking at what can we sell? What can we do? Who can we borrow money from? I don't know. There's no loans anymore, but this is ridiculous and it's not sustainable. We're falling off a $26.5 million cliff due to grant funding that's running out due to COVID funding. Last year, we sold some property to make it through the year. This year, we're doing this. Next year, we'll start the year, I don't know, 20 million in a deficit on top of what's going on this year. We need a real solution. I'm glad that Ms. Blackburn is here. Thank you. But this is a nightmare. This is the worst that it gets. And even if this entire board votes this budget down, it doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be a 9.9% tax increase. So this is the best thing that we can do. It's the best choice of the worst options, unfortunately. So all I can do is vote no.
Morrison.
I wanted to thank everyone for coming this evening and for those that are watching at home for showing up for our children. Our children deserve better than the hand that they have been dealt. They have been pawns in the game and name of public education, and it didn't begin this year. It's been going on for quite a few years. Their fair funding formula needs to be revisited and revamped. A thorough and efficient education, at the very least, is what every child is constitutionally mandated to receive. This evening, I vote no to this budget because all of our children and their families deserve better. So my vote is a no.
Palazzo.
Before I vote, I want to express my gratitude to our local elected leaders for coming out today in person. I know that it's not the most convenient time and place. I appreciate it. Mayor Cuneo, I want to assure you that I do get the phone calls about the tax increases. South Toms River is a mile square and just about everybody in town knows exactly where I live. So sometimes they come knock on my door. And they see me quite regularly and they complain about the taxes and they ask for directions to the local food distribution. So maybe Mrs. Howe could remind everyone that there's food distribution again on Friday. Our community certainly doesn't have money to pay extra taxes, but I would have voted yes to a 9.9% increase if it would have gotten us enough funding to actually run our buildings this year. I want to say that. I would have voted yes to a 9.9% increase if it would have actually gotten us not enough money to do right by our kids, but to maintain the status quo. I vote no. I vote hell no, because trying to appraise and sell property or do whatever else we can to dig up millions of dollars of miscellaneous revenue to sustain status quo, which isn't providing our most vulnerable children, that I have been begging the state of New Jersey in person in Trenton on my own time, I don't know how many times a year, for 9 years now, because this didn't just start with S2. Before S2, there was this Sweeney Prieto plan. We have been begging for money nonstop since 2010. And it has to stop. We have to do something. So voting no is the beginning of that something. And whatever support the community and our local elected leaders can provide, I appreciate you for coming out. I appreciate every phone call and text to the governor's office and every email you write. And believe me, I hear you when you say that you cannot afford to pay more in taxes. But we cannot afford to fail our children either, because quite frankly, who is going to live in this community if we do not provide them with a thorough and efficient education? No, thank you.
Nardini.
I vote no, and I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out here. You can see how important this is. This is the 12th hour. And I want to thank Mr. Sitta, his entire administration. Mr. Burns, Mrs. Blackburn, all for you. I know what you're doing behind the scenes, making all this work and trying to make this work. And it's your effort it doesn't go by unnoticed, and not least with me. I see what you do, and I thank you for that very much. God bless you. God bless our student and our teachers, and God bless America. Thank you.
Egan. I also vote no. I do appreciate all the work that's gone into this, but we are not offering a proper education for our children by just saying, let's sell some things or raise taxes. So I do vote no, and I thank everyone up here for all the work they've done. Thank you. I have that. Okay, I need a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the Bush Law Group and Hartman Duff LLC to take all action necessary and proper to commence litigation in state and/or federal courts against the state of New Jersey, including all departments, boards, and political subdivision of the state to seek redress for the damages to Toms River Regional School students, residents, and stakeholders caused by the unconstitutional actions or inactions of the state of New Jersey.
Motion Kidney.
Second Palazzo.
Roll call.
Capone,
Yes.
Howe,
Yes.
Kidney,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
Nardini,
Yes.
Egan.
Yes. Okay. Motion to adjourn. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to speak at this point? No? Yes? Okay. Huh? I know, that's what I'm doing. Hello?
Tom Rolshausen,
Just
I'll
put
sign
your-
in.
Okay.
All right, I'll sign in first. That's all right. I just want to thank everyone for voting no on this. We need to send a message back to the state. You know, you guys have been doing everything you could, and it's not going to stop this year. It's going to happen again next year.
Right.
So I appreciate all your efforts and all your energy that you put into your speeches tonight. And that's it. Good luck, and I'm here for you to help.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Egan, if I may. I want to acknowledge that Mr. Rolshausen is councilman in South Toms River, and we appreciate him coming and attending today.
Just
Okay.
before we motion to adjourn, again, you know, tonight is, you know, we had to be here based on a timeline to do something that just needs to be done. The fact that everybody showed up and are supportive of what we have to go forward and go through with. I want to remind our community tonight and every night and every day that, you know, we get up each and every morning and we're here for our children and this district, regardless of who's paying the bills. Okay? That's never going to stop. Our identity in this community and this county and our resolve, it's unwavering. And there is no doubt in my mind, even though this is a step we've been trying to avoid for 7 years by, you know, taking it on the chin and continuing to get punched, knocked down, get up and say, okay, what do you got next? But we need to keep moving forward. This is just another step. This is just another step, another hurdle in that process. But together, that resolve, that commitment, that lack of pointing fingers, but coming together for the right reasons and to focus the energies on where they belong. I have no doubt, and I have full confidence in councils next to us. I have full confidence in this community. And I have full confidence in our bright young children and their futures. You've heard it through the years, through our students who say it the best. They carry the torch and our message better than anybody else. And we will continue to inspire and light that flame inside of them so they don't have to do it when it's their turn. Well, I appreciate everybody. Happy 4th of July. And I know our president will now ask for a motion to adjourn. God bless.
Thank you. And I do have to say, I feel very confident knowing we have Mr. Sitta leading us through this whole turmoil of education. Motion to adjourn.
Motion Nardini?
Second how?
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great 4th of July. Thank you.